I'm here today with Judy, who is at the True North Health Center, and she and her husband are on this amazing journey. She's doing a water fast at the health center there. So, Judy, what day are you on, and how are you feeling? You look fantastic.
Thank you very much. We're on day 11 of our fast. We have another 2 days to go, and we did a juice fast on either end. So basically, we'll end up with a total of about 16 days on either water or juice. And in terms of how I'm feeling, I am really shocked at how well I'm feeling. The only thing I can say is that my energy is a little bit lower than it was, but we're still walking, and it's been amazing. I'm very blessed that I'm not having a lot of the symptoms that other people are, but there are a lot of us here that also aren't having those symptoms. It just depends on the person.
Well, how's your husband doing? I mean, that was the reason why. Just give us a synopsis of his journey, just a quick abbreviated for somebody who's just new to our lecture.
Okay. He had rotator in January. He then ended up with a horrible virus shortly after that. And about a week or two after that, not even a week after that, he ended up with Guillain-Barre Syndrome, which is actually a autoimmune disease. So he lost complete feeling in his arms, his legs, within the space of 2 days, arms, legs, and his back. So he was, and it can get worse, where you end up with respiratory problems because you can't breathe anymore. And so fortunately, he was diagnosed early, he got to hospital, he had some treatment there, and then after that he came here. So he was able to walk, which everybody was quite shocked at. And right now he says he has all his feeling back. We'll be able to know that once we do the reflex tests at the end, because when they did it at the beginning, it was very hard to find any sort of reflexes in any part of his body. And at this point, he's probably lost about 25 pounds.
Wow.
In 14 days.
You're going to have to go shopping.
And I know, I'm so excited. And his blood pressure varies between 115 to 125 over 80s, in the 80s.
And that's without medication?
Oh, that's no medication, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because he was on medication before.
Right, and it was higher than that on medication. So, and the doctors said that they expect it'll come down lower, but even if it doesn't, they would still rather that he was in that area without medication than taking medication.
Wow.
To get it low.
Wow, it's such a journey.
It really has. It's been incredible.
I know we've been talking, apart from this video chats, and I know you've been taking all these amazing classes. So tell me some of the things you've been learning.
It's really hard to decide where to start because there are so many. It's difficult to choose because there are just so many lectures that are absolutely phenomenal lectures. I would love to get some of these people to come out to us and offer a class. Some of the courses, include everything from meditation to personal self-care to intermittent fasting to gut flora. It's unbelievable, the topics and the range that they cover. So anyhow, one of the things that I have learned over here is that our goal is to be able to lengthen our telomeres, because the telomeres determine our longevity. And fasting is a really fabulous way to be able to do that. But that's not something that we can all do, either, give up that amount of time or that cost, etc.
Well, is it juice fasting? Does that help too, to lengthen the telomeres?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Well, that's something you can ask.
Yeah, I will ask it. I'm guessing it does. So the intermittent fasting there are a variety of ways of intermittent fasting that we could all do at home on a regular basis to be able to lengthen those telomeres. And basically it means minimizing the number of calories you're taking in over a period of time. And it could vary in terms of how you want to do it. So, for example, for me, what makes the most sense is that I am going to, when I get home, narrow my window of eating down from, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner to going from maybe 11 o'clock until 6 or 7 o'clock, I will eat. So I'll maybe have something at lunch or sort of brunchish, and then I'll have something at dinner, and that'll be it for the day. And for me, that because I'm postmenopausal, that actually feels really good. I have done it before. So the first one is, say, doing a 16 8-hour window, or some people do a shorter window than that, sort of a 12 6-hour window, depends on what you want. Another option is to have 5 days of regular eating and then take 2 days off. Another way to do it is to be able to have where you do, say, you have 1 day of regular eating and the next day you make it a low calorie density, so maybe say 500 calories. There are quite a few ways that you can do it. And if you want to learn more about it, there's a website called fasting.org. It'll give you all the data on types of fasting. I haven't looked at it, but they did recommend it to us. And just to give you an idea, they fasted rats who were going to go through chemo before they had the chemo, and all 30 of the rats survived. And then when they gave the rats who had chemo without the fasting, all 30 rats died. It just goes to show what the benefits of fasting can do for us. And that's why I really am excited about doing the intermittent fasting, because it just feels like it can be so much more doable than if we just, feel like, okay, I've got to commit to this long period of time and I'm going to, or it doesn't have to be that long, but a period of time and expense. This is something that we can all do at home.
Nice. So what else have you learned?
The other thing that's just amazing how everybody talks about it, from Dr. Goldhammer, who runs the program, to the acupuncturist, naturopath, to we even have a research scientist who they all advocate making sure that it's not just about the food. Diet is king and exercise is queen, but we really do need the other components to health. And I know we've all heard about this, but I wasn't expecting to hear that when I came to True North. I was just expecting to hear about food. And really the emphasis is on making sure we have enough rest, sleep, or personal time, or meditation. It's amazing how much they talk about meditation here. And that the less we sleep, the more overweight we're likely to be. And in fact, they had one whole lecture just on sleep. And the other thing is making sure we have community and family connections, which is super important. And having that spiritual connection, whatever it looks like, so that we end up waking up feeling joyful. So that, including the diet and the exercise, are the 5 pillars of true health.
Wow. So what else have you learned? Tell me. I'm excited. This is amazing. I mean, if I can't be with you, at least this week I can do this virtually.
This is just a personal observation, but what I realized what's been so interesting is that I'm not hungry. And it's really kind of bizarre and Todd's not hungry. Okay, I probably get a few little hunger pangs. Todd gets 0. But you put him on a juice fast and he's hungry all the time. And what's fascinating is just how we don't realize how phenomenal our bodies are. Our bodies recognize there's no food coming in. So they just stop sending out those hunger signals. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
How soon did that start? I mean,
I would say probably within a day or so. I don't really remember being hungry, but I'm sure I was. For Todd, it was pretty instantaneous. So, we think, oh my God, I can't do this because I'm going to be starving. You don't feel any hunger. It's actually easier being on a water fast in terms of that than being on a juice fast.
Nice to know. I'm getting ready to start one, so All right. Okay. So, all right. What else have you learned? Tell me some. What are some other the key exciting things?
I think one of the things that I've learned is that I'm kind of like to be a perfectionist. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. And then when I don't do it, I really give myself a hard time. And so this morning I actually decided to ask one of the doctors, and I said, okay, just tell me the honest truth. Do you really follow this plan? And I've asked a few doctors this question, 100%. And I said, I need an honest answer. And they both said to me, and they're just to die for doctors, they both said, you know what? We're not perfect all the time. We do come off it, but when we say we choose to go to a restaurant and there's a little bit of oil or there's a little bit of salt, or like Dr. Lim said to us this morning, he said once a year, he and his family of 4 end up getting one of those Amish waffle kind of things, and they split it between the 4 of them. So he said, but if I'm going to do something like that, I'm going to make it a very conscious decision. I'm not going to berate myself afterwards, and I'm going to be very mindful as I eat it. So eat it really slowly, really enjoy every single bite, and don't feel guilty about it. And be compassionate with yourself afterwards, and then recognize that your next few meals are going to be much healthier meals. And so for me, that was really
Powerful.
comforting to hear. Yeah. Because, I just look at people like Goldhammer and Dr. Furman and McDougall, and those guys do this 100%. They don't know any other way to do it than that way. And we're not them. And when I watch...
Yeah, I see, like, for me, like, once a month I have this, the parents bring in all this food, which is super nice of the parents. It's really just super spectacular way of saying thank you. It's their monthly treat for us. But for me, there's, like, virtually no food ever that I can have. They might have some token fruit, but it's in amongst all of these other things that I used to eat in my other life, and it's like, it kills me. And there's days when I just crack, and I'll reach for a bagel or something that I know that it really is not going to be good for me. And then the next, and afterwards, first of all, I feel like I don't feel good. It really impacts my body. It really does. But then there's the guilt that trips in. And I feel like, oh my God, I just did that. What was I doing? And I just mentally beat myself up over it. So, yeah, so it's good to know that some of these other people, because I know, like, the greats, they're no other way, but then they have access to this all the time. So it's nice to know, like McDougall's, those guys, all of those guys live like this, but they have access to food that's prepared and all, they don't know any other way. But for me, it's really tough when I don't purposely do it. I keep my home sanitized. There's no question in my house. There's none of that stuff. But if it's right in my path and I have to trip over it, like I'm walking into the faculty room and it's there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm human.
So then make a conscious decision about what you're going to choose to eat, if that's what you want, and then just sit down and really enjoy it. Because my problem was I'd feel guilty, so then I'd stuff it in my mouth, as opposed to to get it over with quickly. And that's not the point. You're supposed to be enjoying it.
Good point. I'll remember that the next month and not stress over it.
And when you watch the video, Dr. Lyle has a video on personality profiles. You'll understand why it's so much easier for the likes of Goldhammer and McDougall and Furman, because their personality styles are like that. So for them to say no, it's like, what do you mean I'm not going to say no? Whereas for us, it's like, we want to people please. We want to, or we just sort of want to be able to listen, do what we want to do. And it's not as easy to say no. So that really helped me understand a bit more about my own self when I listened to the personality profile thing.
Nice. So what else? Any other exciting things?
A very short, simple one, which we all know, which is exercise is key. making sure we have strength, which is super, super important. They emphasize that so much here. Making sure we have cardio, and that the most efficient way of using cardio is to do high-intensity workouts. So, if you're going to go for a walk, then walk for a minute, and then say walk really briskly for 30 seconds, or pick your range. If you want to run, pick however, say I'm going to walk to this block or these 2 blocks, and then next block I'm going to run to. Apparently that's much, much more efficient than if we just walk the whole distance. And then obviously last is flexibility on that exercise program.
So what else? What are some key things that you learned, or other things, ideas, books, lectures, anything else you've seen?
Well, I'll just give you 1 or 2 more, and then I'm happy to share some books. The one thing I learned about controlling was from, I think, Goldhammer, maybe not. And he said that if you can't stop eating a food, like it's just compulsive, you just have to have it, then he said maybe that's a food that you just make a no food. That's just a no, period. And so for me, having tortilla chips is, if I start on there, I'm going to be chowing away for a little while. So I just need to recognize that that's my no food. And so I'm not going to bring it into the house. And when I see it, I'm not going to have it. So, but again, we're all different. For example, for Todd, his no food is chocolate. So he just recognizes that he's just going down a path that he doesn't want to go. But, other things where he knows that he can maybe have a little bit occasionally and then put it aside won't be an issue. But it's just recognizing what our own personal triggers are so that we are able to make it easier on ourselves.
Bread is a killer for me. I mean, that I just know that if I have bread in the house, that I'm going to be toasting it, and I'm going to be, obviously I'm not putting butter on it or whatnot, but I'm looking for something. I mean, I've even gotten to the point where I just enjoy plain bread and just the toast and the crunch of it, but I'll continue to eat, not quite. I just did an interview with McDougal, and he's like, yeah, if you recognize you're eating 2 loaves of bread, and I'm like, I'm not there yet, 2 loaves of bread, but I will eat the bread until it's gone. I mean, a few here, a few there, and, and then the next thing I'm like, the bag's empty. What happened? Where'd the bag go? So, yeah, that'll be my no food. Yeah.
One thing Clapper said, which I thought was interesting, he said he recommends doing a gluten insensitivity test. That's a stool test. And apparently you can order this online. And I thought I'd written the name down, but I think the website's called endomere.com. It's endo something. But if you Google that, you can find you'll be able to find the gluten insensitivity. You'll be able to do the test. It's pretty cheap.
So tell me about some of the books and videos that you recommend.
Sure. First of all, definitely anything by Doug Lisle is great because he really focuses on the psychological aspect of it. I think, we all are dealing with some of that. Firstly, I'd really recommend his Perfect Personality, which will help you understand your own personality and why you have a hard time saying no to some things. So highly recommend watching that video if you can get it. And then he has another one that says how to lose weight without losing your mind.
Oh, I've seen that one. That one's fantastic. That's a great lecture he does. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it explains so much. It really does.
Absolutely. And then if you want to Google Jeff Novak, he has a caloric density chart. He's great. And he wants you to really stay below the 600 mark on the chart, but you'll just be able to see what sort of, basically they rate the calories of a food by, per pound, and you'll see where everything fits in. So I'd highly recommend looking at that if you want to. And then the last one is Milton Mills. If you wanted to, show somebody a video about is man a herbivore or a carnivore? I saw him a few years ago at the Summer Fest, and he was phenomenal. So that's a really, really compelling video.
What's his name again? What is his name? I've not seen this.
Milton Mills. He's a cardiologist.
Okay.
Plant-based cardiologist.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I will have to look that up. That will be one reference I'm going to check out.
On YouTube.
How about books?
The doctor really recommended this morning the Blue Zones. So that was a really, really good book. I have it. I must be honest and say I haven't read it yet, but it's the next thing on my list. And he just thought that was one of the best books to read. And then the other book that I'd recommend is Kathy Fisher's new cookbook. She has a fabulous new cookbook with lots of information. And it's completely SOS. And what's interesting is, we can't always taste because, we'll do the demo where we can't taste it. So we ask everybody else. Well, everybody was going back for seconds and thirds after
That's always a good indicator.
So I've decided when I get home, I'm just going to simplify my life and just work my way through Kathy Fisher's cookbook.
Well, that's what I was doing with the McDougall Maximum Weight Loss. I've been recording and cooking them because, there's a lot of things that I would never have tried, because, myself. But because I'm cooking and I'm making the videos, okay, I'm trying something new. I'm trying a soup. I'm trying the main dish. I'm trying this, that, and the other thing. So I'm getting to try all these recipes that I would never have tried, just myself, because maybe it didn't appeal to me, or I don't know, for whatever reason. And then I try it, and it's like, wow, that was good. And I write, and I write all over my cookbooks, and and I've got notes, and or I put a big X. No, don't make that one again. Or this is a make again. That's the test. That's the litmus test. Is it a make again? Is it good enough to make again?
Exactly.
So,
and that's the only way to do it, because your palate isn't their palate. So you have to do trial and error and see what works and what doesn't.
Well, and that's it. You just need to find 10 recipes
exactly
that you really like my potato waffles. I could live on those. No problem. I could live on potato waffles. And it's so easy to make. And I've got a cooking video out there on that. And since I've done that, I think last time I went to Trader Joe's, it was like, good thing nobody was behind me, like my friends, because I bought the whole stack of it's Trader Joe's. They have the potato waffles, the frozen bag. There's no oil. That's it. It's just shredded potatoes. And they're so good. I'm not kidding you. And I've tried it with making it with regular potatoes. It just doesn't work as well. I don't know what they do, or if it's just how fine they shred them. I don't know. Whatever. But they work brilliant in my potato waffle. And each time it comes out a little bit different because I change the seasonings and I mix it up and just keep editing and adding stuff. But it's so easy. And oh my God. And I've even learned, after you cook it in the waffle iron, then I cut it up with I have cooking scissors. And it makes it easier just to cut it up and separate. I've tried with a knife, but then they fall apart. But with the cooking scissors, it works brilliant. And then I pop it into the toaster oven, and then they get crispy. Oh, and you can literally pick them up, and you're just biting into them like crunchy. I'm sorry, I'm talking food. There's somebody fasting. I'm sorry.
Well, we watch our cooking classes when we're fasting, and it doesn't really faze me. It's amazing. It really is.
You're a better man than I am, Guillan. What can I say? So, what other words of wisdom do you have for us?
I think finally I'd like to just say a little bit about True North. And as Dr. Clapper calls it, he says, this is Camp Stop Kidding Yourself, which I kind of like.
Yeah, right.
But it's not for everyone. But I would say that if someone is curious, I would highly recommend filling in the form and then having a conversation with Dr. Goldhammer. You don't have to come for 3 weeks. Some people come for a week. But I would say that if you were to come here, you really want to come with a clean, preferably as clean a diet as possible beforehand, because I do wonder whether or not that has made a huge difference to our transition, because we've already done some of the detoxing beforehand.
Oh, I would imagine. I mean, Joe Cross, he did the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And for him, when he transitioned, it was awful. The first several days were horrible for him. Yeah. Versus somebody like you, who's been plant-based for a long time. So your transition was minimal. So, so it helps to heal the body. But obviously those of us who are really sick, like when he started his journey, fat, sick, and nearly dead, that his body had to go through.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry. What did you say?
He was almost dead.
He was. He was very sick. He was very sick.
Yeah.
And now looking at him, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's proof how the body can heal itself once you get out of your way.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just phenomenal how this body is just so finely tuned.
Yeah. Amazing. Truly. Well, Judy, thank you so much. As always, it's a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Pleasure's mine.
So hopefully
Well,
hopefully we'll catch up in about a week's time, and you should be winding down and back on food then, and we'll see how everything is and see how Todd's doing, and I can't wait to hear about his reflexes and see his progression. So
great. Thank you, Jean. Thank you so much for doing this.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.